moving right along into set number 2 after a very quick first win for North America. In the bottom left as the red Protoss, we have DragOn of North America, DragOn, and in the top right as the teal Zerg we have Southpark of Poland. So, Park and alright, there we go. So, DragOn versus Southpark on Outlier. Luckily, Outlier isn't that hard of a map to wall in on for DragOn here. Yeah, this position isn't so bad. If he was in top position, I think top position is the hardest one to wall in my opinion, on this map. And right side's easiest, but this one isn't bad. You should be able to get a nice solid wall here and have a chance against Southpark's inevitable 9 pool. Yeah, forge here and then gateway on this side. There's a pretty sizable hole in the middle, but it's just one and it's in the center. It's solid. It's a solid wall. And it's a really hard wall to screw up. Okay. So what do you got from DragOn here? He scouted out the 9 pool a while ago. So he should be throwing down cannons. I assume he wants to... What he's doing is waiting here. He doesn't... He might have seen the Lings morph, but he doesn't know whether they're just drones or Lings at this point. So wants to try to delay the cannons until he really needs to. And Southpark is just going to choose to chase that probe around. Yeah, DragOn had that timed really nicely, so if the Lings had gotten there, it would have been very close, but I don't think they could have gotten there before this cannon got in, or they would have gotten there around now. So Southpark, assuming DragOn's going to be able to figure that out, not going to be bothering to try to break through. Sure. If it makes a difference to you. Alright. Alright. So Southpark now moving in with the Lings, and there are 3 cannons there. There are 3 cannons there. He's still going to be 3 cannons with 3 probes blocking the gap. He's still going to be able to get in with 2 Lings. And he can certainly do a lot of damage with 2 Lings. The gateway isn't even in yet. It's going to be a while before that first zealot comes out. And those Lings did have full health at one point. Now this one almost died. Oh, this one almost died. Not quite. No. You get one. You get one. And you used your one. Although I realize now that by switching it around I actually messed up my overlay. And I can't move it. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so, man, Southpark, he wasn't able to get a whole lot done there. Wasn't able to get a whole lot done with those Lings, but I think it really is a testament to how scary Lings can be. DragOn was as prepared as he was going to be. All 3 cannons were warped in. He had 3 probes blocking the small gap. And yet 2 Lings still managed to get in. It's like, what happens if he doesn't have 3 cannons? What if it's only 2 cannons, and they're not in such a good placement, or this wall isn't as good as it is? That's just a ridiculous number of Lings that you can get into your opponent's base as Zerg. Alright. Looks like we're going to follow it up with a little bit of 3-hatch Hydra. This wall, it's a really nice circling wall, but dare I say it's an even better wall against Hydralisks. You can get these cannons so far out here, and there's just all the room in the world for as many cannons as you want. It's just about ideal. Just about ideal. You even have the forge in line vertically with the cannon, as opposed to horizontally. If it's horizontally, they can sometimes snipe off the forge, but now, no way that's going to happen. One cannon here can hit a Hydralisk that's attacking the forge. Alright. So, Hydra speed first, gets the Hydralisk there faster, and then you get the range upgrade. For DragOn, we have the Stargate, and then a little bit later of a Citadel. He used his first gas into getting that Corsair instead of throwing these down at nearly simultaneous times. And even the +1. Okay. So, he's putting a lot of effort into stuff that's not going to help out a whole lot versus the Hydralisk bust, but that Corsair did see that the Hydralisks are coming. He'll have enough time to throw down more cannons, and it looks like that's what he's doing right now. That's absolutely what he needs to be doing. Gotta be getting more cannons up. How many Hydralisks are we at this point? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? 9 Hydralisks? Plus a handful of Lings? That's pretty strong. Good enough to try to start to attack. No, he's just going in. He's not going to play around to try to take out the cannon. He's just going to attack immediately. And the Lings are going to be able to do a lot of damage here if there are not still Zealots blocking the gap. Normally they hold for a very long time, but because of the Hydralisk support, they fell rather quickly here, and lots more cannons are coming in. Probes have been pulled. Did Southpark jump the gun, though, because he doesn't have that big of a force of Hydralisk to follow up on this with? No, he's not going to be able to get all the way in, but he can do things like sniping the Forge now, because the Hydralisks aren't in range of the cannons that have already started. So he can attack the Forge. I hope he realizes that he can take it out before that +1 finishes, which would be quite handy. +1 attack, obviously known for its benefit against Zerglings, but it's also just very nice to have when fighting against the Hydralisks. The Hydralisks die so much quicker. Alright, well, DragOn was able to crawl his way up with cannons, so that now the cannons coming in are protected by the other cannons. And there's a lot of cannons here. Man, Southpark didn't even leave any Hydralisks at home to help ward off the Corsairs. That Corsair, it's got 2 kills. No, it's not going to be able to get that 3rd one. But still, 2 kills that probably were preventable, considering how early the Hydralisks were out. There's no reason for the Overlords to be unguarded if he's not going to be immediately attacking. Man, DragOn, he's taking the pressure. Taking the pressure like a champ. It's just really starting to backfire against Southpark. You don't see Southpark's aggression get stifled quite this hard very often. Normally, even when the opponent has good defenses up, Southpark finds a way to make it work. But this game, DragOn's just doing such a good job of it. He's getting his Templar out, and that just spells death for the Hydralisk aggression. Once Storm finishes, he's probably going to have one more shot here. He's going to have one more shot if he wants to take it, but man, there's a lot of cannons here, and DTs are also a threat. When the Templar Archive's out, the DTs are a threat. It's not as if the Overlords have speed. There are a lot more coming in to help out just the one here. But no, he's building a lot of High Templar right now. And man, that's just so much Storm. Is that 5 Storms? Or 5 High Templar? It's 5 High Templar. Overlord. Ooh. I think he did that on purpose to try to distract some of the cannon fire. And now the Hydralisks are going in. Storm is done. Yes, Storm is done. And man, it's just one more good Storm right here. What do you do? How do you break through that as Southpark? DragOn's playing a very, very defensive style, and in part because of his preparedness, in part just because this map has an amazing way you could wall like this, Southpark is not getting anything here. The Archon, not sure if he sent that out if it was drawn out, but either way, Storm kills off 3 more Hydralisks, keeping that Forge alive. Man, yeah, there's not a lot Southpark could do there. GG. DragOn. DragOn taking game number 1. Boom. Okay. Alright. So, game number 2, Southpark versus DragOn. Interesting choice. Southpark's going to pick match point. I guess you never should be surprised. You never should be surprised when a player decides to pick match point, but oh. Wow. It has been a while since I've casted. Oh man, I haven't mixed up match point and fighting spirit in a while. I'm gonna take that all back. So, bottom left, blue Protoss is Southpark. Interesting. Southpark going random. Huh. Alright. Alright. Random picking. Random's Protoss. That's a very odd pylon location. Never see a pylon here. Well, anyway, DragOn's gonna send out the early scout. He's putting the pylon that far forward so he can build forward gateways in case he needs to be aggressive. Although he really doesn't know what he's going up against yet. Not only in terms of what build Southpark's doing, but just the race. He's about to find out that he's playing a PvP, which actually is kind of funny because PvP is DragOn's worst matchup. Mostly because he wasn't a PvP player for a long time. He played ZVP. And recently has been picking up PvP. But I assume that he would much rather be playing a PvT right now. His Protoss versus Southpark's off race. Terran? Alright. So that positioning is not really going to matter for a PvP matchup. It'll build his first 2 gateways here, and it'll get a little bit bottlenecked, but that's not a huge issue. It's not really a huge issue at all. Whoa. Shit. I'm sorry. Sorry. Yeah. I'm using Windows 8 right now, and Microsoft really wants me to activate Windows 8, but then never lets me activate it. It says you need to activate Windows 8 right now, and then it completely takes me out of everything I'm doing, and then tells me I can't do it right now. So that's pissing me off. I'm like, fingers crossed. It comes up like once every 6 hours. Fingers crossed it didn't happen during the cast. Oh well, it won't happen again. You fix one set of technical issues just for another set. The way it works. Yeah, Not the biggest fan of Windows 8. It's not as bad as you think it is, but I'd rather be using Windows 7 right now. Alright, so getting back, okay. So DragOn, going for a fast expansion. It's not quite a 12 nex, but it's not quite 2 gate into Expo either. It's 1 gate, and then the Nexus, and then it's gonna get cannons up behind that. Interesting. Southpark with a much more standard gate core gate, and now getting goon range. Man, I like this build. I like this build a lot versus Southpark, because this is a kind of build that it's very easy to react inappropriately from Southpark's position. It's really easy for him to either not really pay too much credence to this base, and then all of a sudden he's down 20 supply in 7 or so minutes, and he finds himself just in an unwinnable position. Or alternatively, he gives it way too much importance, and he commits into an attack into these cannons, and finds that the cannons are actually vastly better than Dragoons. On paper, they really don't seem like they should be much better than Dragoons, but in practice, especially considering the cost, they're just so much better than the Dragoons. Alright. So, Robo Facility here. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see him go Reaver first, just to make this even more defensive than it already is. Make it, once that Reaver comes out, it's going to be just about impossible for Dragon to get busted. With the really high firepower rate of these cannons, and with the Reaver sitting behind them, it means that if you go in to snipe the Reaver, yeah, the Reaver can't run away with the shuttle, but you're going to lose your entire army to the cannons. You just can't do very much. And Southpark is going to go in here. It's not looking like a strong start for him. Most of the Zealots trade away, and then 1 cannon for a couple of goons. And more cannons are coming up behind that. Yeah, Southpark, his Nexus is at 70%. But this is looking like it's really starting to swing in DragOn's favor. DragOn already making up for the fact that he's only on 1 gateway in terms of supply. He's ahead, despite the fact that DragOn's been producing off of 2 for a while. And indeed it is Reaver first. Alright. So, Southpark gets his Expo up. Should be able to catch up pretty soon here. Or at least not fall any farther behind. This is where DragOn is going to make an attempt to break away. He now has the money to start throwing down these gateways, start getting out a really high number of Dragoons, and he's obviously going to build a shuttle, but I think shuttle and then 1 more Reaver. He'll be ready to go. So there's the second Reaver, then the shuttle, and by that time he'll have 2-ish control groups of goons right around there. Oh wow, going for a fast +1 as well. Interesting. Both players skipping over observers completely. No observers out from DragOn, despite having the observatory, and Southpark doesn't even have that. Instead, getting a shuttle out, rallying it away from the Reaver. So there we go, he's gonna fly that back. So, Southpark's Reaver's out. Yeah, but it's still just not going to be enough. One Reaver doesn't counter two of Julia's, and he's getting the speed lots and the +1 and the larger army. Like, Southpark has to have ridiculously good micro here. And that's... I don't know. How do you beat a native Protoss player in a straight-up micro fight when you have a significant disadvantage? $74 supply compared to 85. So, at this point, excuse me, it was that the supply lead was mostly in probes, but now the probe numbers should be pretty similar between the two players. DragOn still might have a couple more, but most of that difference is in the army count. It's just a bigger army with 2 Reavers, and with the speed on the Zealots, that's actually going to be a pretty significant difference. Unit counter at the bottom is reversed. Yeah, it is. Shoot. Yeah, I'm not looking at that thing at all. My bad. Shit. Overlays. I didn't even do that right. Overlays. Alright. Why isn't... Wait, what? DragOn, why aren't you using most of your army? DragOn, what the hell was that? Like, seriously. What, did his mouse break? Did he, like, send all of his units into his opponent's base, and then, like, for some reason couldn't bring them back? I don't even know. Alright. Fortunately, Southpark doesn't have any observers. Unfortunately, DragOn's not going to take advantage of that. Alright, here we go. Bringing one of the DTs back. No, we're not. No. Are we going to? Are we actually going to attack this? DragOn? Alright. So, the Reavers are the most important things here. The DT can do some damage, but it's going to be very slow. And those Reavers can just do so much damage to the clumped Zealots earlier, and now to the clumped up Dragoons. Unfortunately, Southpark not picking up his Reavers in time, and allowing a couple of them to die, so he's not going to win this battle by the leaps and bounds that he should have. And... oh, there's the DT. There we go. How long is it gonna take Southpark to? Oh, there we go. He realizes he tried to transfer guys over to this base and realizes he lost all of them there too. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter that Southpark managed to kill all of DragOn's army because he just lost 26 probes. And Southpark, he's gonna go in for an attack, and it might have worked, except for there are still 6 cannons up, and 6 cannons are still rather strong when Southpark lost all of his Reavers. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with Jumper here. Southpark seems to be under the impression it's like, man, Dragoons, they do 20 damage per shot. They're like freaking twice as good as Hydralisks. Let's just go attack cannon walls. Man, if my Hydralisks were like double strong Hydralisks, I'd never lose again as Zerg. But then he found out Dragoons are not twice as good as Hydralisks. They are barely 1 times as good as Hydralisks. So, South Park has 4 probes. 5 probes? Okay. You know what? It's 5 probes, but 6 probes, but on the bright side, it's 2 at each base. So, you know, if it was 6 at one base, they might have collided at some point, but now we got them all spread out. We got like VIP mining situation on each of these bases. You know, 3 nexuses? 3 nexuses can produce probes pretty quickly. Faster than DragOn can off of 2 nexuses. I mean, he has to invest literally his entire economy into building probes right now. And he only has 35 supply, so this is all the army he's gonna have for a little while. But you know. Alright. Man. What's really unfortunate here is that Southpark doesn't have his Reavers anymore. Because if he was in this situation and had Reavers or had High Templar, he'd at least be able to try to get off some harass and be able to do a thing. But right now he can do no things. There's nothing he can do other than kill a 39 kill Dark Templar. But other than that, other than accidentally discovering a Dark Templar up here with this observer and then moving to kill it off, that's it. He just has to kind of sit here with these goons that has not gotten any bigger in the past 2 minutes. Oh, we're about to add some reinforcements. A little bit. We're mining. We're mining at these bases. Unfortunately, DragOn has double supply. Right around double supply. Alright. So, okay, this time, last time DragOn tried this, it really didn't work out for him, but this time he's actually bringing his entire army, and South Park has a much smaller army instead of a slightly smaller army. Oh, but there's a Reaver. Alright, he got one Reaver out. Let's see the Reaver micro. Reaver micro. Back it up. No, don't let it attack. Okay, keeping it safe. Keeping it safe. Do we have a shuttle on the way? Nope, we have a second Reaver. Okay, so he can lose this one Reaver. Alright, you know, it's doing a pretty good job of staying alive. It was like one of the last units to die. Alright. It doesn't change a whole lot though. South Park loses, and DragOn is going to take the set 2-0. That is 4 up. Oh, well, not 4. We are 4-0 in individual games, but North America winning 2-0 at this point. All right. So. Let's try that one more time. So, set number 4 is Michael versus Pike. Should be quite the nice game. Sending Michael out on destination first map. Alright. Top position as the yellow Zerg, we have Michael. And bottom position as the pink/white Zerg, we have Pike. Oh. And change this up to which one I put in left? Michael on this. Michael. OO. Pike. There we go. So, once again, this is tiebreakers. There are 3 teams competing for 2 spots in the finals. These 2 teams, North America and Poland, and the 3rd team is Central Europe. So, excuse me. The team that goes 0-2 in these tiebreakers will be eliminated, and the other 2 teams, one of them 2-0, one of them 1-1, will advance. If either of these teams wins today, they know that they are safe. They know that there is no way they can be eliminated in this round of tiebreakers. But if they lose, then they absolutely have to win their game versus Central Europe, or they will be eliminated. Alright. So, 12 pool from Michael, and a 12 hatch from Pike. 12 hatching on a 2-player map can quite often be dangerous. Because you never have the luxury of your opponent possibly not sending the links in the right direction. If they get 9 pool, they're sending the links in the right direction. But it's going to work out for him, getting that hatchery up significantly quicker than Michael. More lag, maybe? Maybe somebody's alt-tabbing. Wow. My chat must be just horrible. I don't know if it's bad for everybody else. I thought it was on pace and it was just a couple other people having issues, but the more and more I read it, the more I'm realizing they're talking about things that happened a long time ago. So, oh well. I guess everybody knows now, like, I can't see what you're talking about. So if something goes horribly wrong, you're gonna need to give me, like, a few minutes to find out about it. Alright. Michael's first sling's getting there just as Pike's first slings do, so Michael's not going to be able to do anything. And with this hatchery also producing lings, he's not even going to have a small advantage. He's just going to straight up be behind in any attack. It is possible for him to do stuff. We saw... excuse me, we saw Flip almost make this successful in the first CBZ of the day, going for an attack against overwhelming odds, but allowing himself to slip in some lings for harass on the drones. And that could be what Michael's looking for here. Alright. So, layers up for Pike, and his Spire has started. Michael's Spire has also started. His Spire is going to be ever so slightly faster, but not going to make a difference. It's not fast enough to really gain him any kind of advantage. Don't see it too often. Not terribly common for players to be building their lair in their main. Or excuse me, for them to be building it not in their main, to be building it in the natural. The logic is that this layer is more likely to, or this hatchery is more likely to be attacked out of the two, and you want to give it a little bit of extra health. Alternatively, normally the Overlord is perched over the main, and you can try to hide your lair timing by a little bit. It's really not, it really rarely comes up in a game, but What? Like, shuttle the STX player shuttle? Damn it. I get distracted. Alright. So, first Mutalisk out for both players. Looks like Pike decided to go for Scourge first. Typically see that out of the player with the slightly later hatch, or excuse me, the slightly later Spire, because the Scourge take less time to make. But in that situation, it really wasn't necessary. He had complete freedom as to whether he wanted Scourge or not. The Scourge do help out a bit. If they hit, obviously, then they're cost efficient, but even if they're not hitting, it can cause the micro. It can cause some extreme micro from an opponent and make them not get all their shots off. So even if your Scourge aren't hitting, they can still have a role to play, but it's looking like Pike doesn't quite have the Mutalisk numbers to match up right now to Michael, and he's going to be forced to retreat. You never want to retreat in these kind of battles, or you want to try to avoid needing to retreat, is what I'm trying to say. Because when you retreat, your opponent usually gets off a lot of shots, and that can be devastating in a ZVZ. There are certain situations where you have to, but really you should be trying your best to avoid this kind of situations. Some pretty good micro there from Michael. I do believe that one Scourge got a hit, but only one so far. Is that supply blocked? Yes, that is supply blocked, and pretty badly too. Even after the next Overlord, he's going to be almost immediately supply blocked again. Man. A bit of a quick GG there from Pike, but that game was starting to get out of hand. It was just going to be really difficult for him to... It was going to be really difficult for him to overcome that. Michael was just producing Mutalisk at such a good clip. Interesting game. Pike was supposed to have the advantage in that, but it never really seemed like he had a definite advantage. It seemed like it was even, and then Michael won an engagement, so Michael had the advantage. Kind of interesting. Alright, game number 2. Alright, in the top left, as the excuse me, as the teal Zerg, we have Michael. And as the green Zerg, in the top right, we have Pike. And there we go. So, and in Pike's situation, he went for 12 hatch, and he got the build that would be the absolute best for him to go up against with the 12 hatch, going up against a 12 pool. 12 hatch is supposed to have the advantage against a 12 pool, that's why you go 12 hatch. And he still lost. I wonder if he's going to just decide to not go 12 hatch this game, and instead try something else, because clearly that didn't work out very well for him. Well, does go Overlord first, and so does Michael. Michael once again with the 12 pool, and well, Pike once again with the 12 hatch. He's got to be doing something differently this game, because last game it couldn't have been a better start for him, and yet he still lost. Maybe he's just hoping to get the Mutalisk out a little bit faster. Maybe not go for Scourge, because Michael has good enough Mutalisk control to be dodging Scourge and not lose the initial engagement. But that's really it. Not a whole lot he can do differently. Well, certainly looking similar to last game. Both players did scout in the right direction, so we won't have either of them not knowing where the opponent is, and we're essentially going to be ignoring the bottom half of the map. This map will be a little bit easier to defend against. Excuse me, to defend against links. Destination can be kind of weird, even if it's a double bridge, and the double bridge aren't that big of a gap when combined. There's still just so many like weird paths you can run around through in the natural, like behind the minerals, for example, that defending against the Ling run by can be a little bit more complicated in that map than some other ones. Not that that was a huge factor in the last game. Alright. So first things for Michael, and once again, Pike's Lings are there just in time. Once again, Pike's going to be getting the lair in the lair in the natural. It didn't matter where he built it that game. Both of them would have been scouted out. So really the only reason to be building it in the natural is just to give that a little bit extra health. If he's afraid Michael's going to be building a lot of links, it buys him more time. It really, I mean, as long as the hatchery isn't falling below 500 health, it really doesn't matter how much damage it takes before that point. So when you make it into a lair, you get an extra 500 health to play around with. It allows you to wait a little bit longer before trying to execute the correct attack. I'd say 500 health is like the beginning of getting to kind of a dangerous point. And especially if it's under 300 health, then your opponent can just suicide Lings and take it out immediately. But under 500, you should feel a little bit worried. We have Spire from Michael, and there we go, Spire from Pike. So yeah, looking very similar to, excuse me, looking very similar to the previous game. Michael is defending in a rather similar way he did last time. This time he's going to build an evolution chamber, though. Not going to be needing spore colonies, but it's the cheapest building he can make that's going to block a little bit. You see Michael actually cancel it twice there. That's it's a bit unfortunate. It's going to be a bit, about 40 minerals lost there. But doesn't feel like he's going to need it. Maybe now he does. The drone's trying to get into position, but it's too late. That's going to be blocked, so the drone can't do much other than tank a little bit of damage. Pike trying to get into good position. Man, those colors are similar. Hard to tell who is who. But Pike is going to be losing most of it, and then just decides to go for the run by at the very end. How much can he kill with 4 speedlings in here? 1 drone down, 2 drone down, 3? 3 drones. Alright. So, that's the way that Michael... excuse me. That's the way Pike is going to use his economic advantage. He was able to just make a few more Lings, and then he took out a couple drones. I think that's going to be rather nice for him. He has Mutalisk and Scourge? No, just Mutalisk on the way now. And Pike, much better position than he was ever in last game. Michael, despite having his Spire up first, is going to feel compelled to build Scourge. He wants to be using all the extra minerals he can on drones right now, just to make sure he doesn't fall behind. These Scourge just missing out on the initial Mutalisks. And, oh. That is unfortunate. The Scourge did not hit at the same time, so that Mutalisk, despite getting hit by 2, Scourge is going to live. Alright. So, Pike's coming in. There are no spore colonies, so it looks like it's just going to be Mutalisk versus Mutalisk. But still, Pike is finding himself on the wrong end of these Mutalisk engagements, and despite having similar numbers in all of these, he doesn't seem to ever be able to win any of them. Now, Michael... Man, Michael's going to put on some pressure here, trying to chase down this Mutalisk. He probably won't be able to kill it, but he should be able to get off a few shots. Not quite. Mutalisk is going to be able to get out of there. So, Pike has stabilized. Michael probably not gonna be able to continue the pressure because he's now managed to get his drones back up. But when he had the advantage, he really wasn't gonna be able to do a whole lot. Interesting. There are no drones down here, and Pike hasn't had drones down here for the entire game. Yeah, just minerals mined out from these two, but he's not splitting up his drones. It theoretically shouldn't matter. Theoretically, he doesn't have enough drones where they'll get in each other's way, but you can get slightly more because you're mining if you spread them out. Ever so slightly. There we go. Now we're managing to pick off some spawning Munalisks. That's what Michael meant to do the first time. It's 41 supply compared to 34. And he's Scourge and Overlord in there, so Pike is supply blocked now. Are these all Michaels? Yeah, these are all Michaels. Okay. Well, I was going to say that Michael was just trying to clear up some supply, but he actually has a pretty high cap. I'm not sure why he was killing his own Zerglings there. I don't know what this is in reference to, but if you want me to answer something, you're probably going to have to ask again. Alright, Michael going in, manages to take out a lot of the Scourge at the very beginning there, which is quite nice. He doesn't have to spend that much time microing, and didn't take a lot of damage at all from it, either on the Scourge end or the Mutalisk end. Now, just moving in for the attack, upgrades, no upgrades for either player, and ooh, a couple last Scourge coming in. Couple last Scourge coming in from both players, actually. And man, we're gonna have a pretty even trade there. Michael has two living Mutalisks, Pike only has one. Michael doesn't even feel comfortable about continuing in with one of those Mutalisks being so weak. Alright. So, Michael's looking for a little bit of extra Mutalisk grass. I'm not sure why he's running away with so many Mutalisks here. He has more, and has enough to micro down the Scourge, and yeah, Pike immediately GG's. I guess he just really wanted to get back Jew's reinforcements, but wow, that is 6 victories in a row for USA. Plus Canada. And now they are up 3-0 over Poland.